Dr. Kim Tae-ho was drinking his third cup of coffee when the screens in his office lit up like a Christmas tree. The radio telescope array in Seoul had picked up something impossible. Energy signatures were appearing out of nowhere, right above Earth's atmosphere. "This can't be right," he muttered, adjusting his glasses and checking the readings again. The numbers didn't change. Whatever was up there was big. Really big. Kim grabbed his phone and called General Park Min-soo at the United Earth Defense Force headquarters. The general answered on the first ring. "Park here. General, this is Kim at SETI, Korea. We have a situation. I'm seeing massive energy readings in orbit. Multiple contacts, sir. This isn't a drill." There was silence on the other end. Then Park's voice came back, cold and professional. "How many contacts, Doctor?" Kim looked at his screen again. The numbers kept climbing. "Over 200, sir. And they're still appearing." "I'll be right there. Don't talk to anyone else about this." The line went dead. Kim stared at his phone, then back at the screen. The energy signatures were getting stronger. Whatever was up there was getting closer. Above Earth's atmosphere, Fleet Commander Thexvel stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion. He was a tall creature with gray skin and 4 arms, wearing the dark uniform of the Valkyrie Empire. His yellow eyes looked down at the blue and green planet below. "Report," he commanded. "All ships have arrived, Commander," said his aide, a younger Valkyrie named Nextar. 200 vessels of the 3rd Expeditionary Fleet are in position. The planet appears to be inhabited by a primitive species called humans. Thexvel nodded. This was going to be easy. His scouts had reported that these humans were stuck on one planet. They had no real space fleet, no advanced weapons, just another weak species ready for conquest. "What do we know about their military capabilities?" Thexvel asked. "Very limited, sir. They have some basic orbital platforms and a few armed spacecraft. Nothing that could threaten our fleet. Our intelligence suggests they will surrender quickly once they see our numbers." "Good. Open a communication channel to the planet. Let's get this over with." Back on Earth, Captain Lee So-jin was finishing her shift on Aegis Station, one of Earth's orbital defense platforms. She was tired and looking forward to going home when the alarm started screaming. "Captain!" shouted Petty Officer Bae Jun-sik from his console. "We have multiple contacts appearing on sensors. Big ones, ma'am." Lee rushed to the command center. The holographic display showed dots of light appearing around Earth. Lots of them. "How many?" she asked. 200 and counting, Captain. They're not broadcasting any identification codes." Lee felt her stomach drop. This was what they had been training for, but she had hoped it would never happen. "Battle stations. Alert all Earth Defense Forces. This is not a drill." Red lights flashed throughout Aegis Station as the crew ran to their positions. Lee opened a communication channel to Earth's surface. "Earth Control, this is Aegis Station. We have unknown contacts in orbit. Recommend immediate alert status." Meanwhile, engineer Choi Jae-min was working late in his laboratory beneath Seoul when his computer terminal started beeping. Emergency messages were flooding in from Defense Headquarters. He read them quickly, his hands shaking. Alien ships. Hundreds of them. This was really happening. Choi had spent years working on Earth's secret defense projects. Projects that most people didn't know existed. Projects that might be humanity's only hope. He grabbed his secure phone and started making calls. On the bridge of the Eternal Dominion, Thexvel received confirmation that the communication channel was open. Every radio and television on Earth would receive his message. Primitive beings of the planet you call Earth, he began, his voice cold and commanding. I am Fleet Commander Thexvel of the Velkhari Empire. Your world is now under our control. You have 48 hours to surrender completely. Lay down all weapons and prepare for occupation. Resist, and your planet will be sterilized of all life. This is your only warning. The transmission ended. Thexvel turned to his aide. How long until they respond with their surrender? Based on our previous conquests, sir, most species respond within 6 hours. The more primitive ones sometimes take 12 hours to organize their surrender. Thexvel nodded. 47 worlds had fallen to his fleet using this same method. Fear was a powerful weapon. These humans would be no different. But in the United Earth Defense Force headquarters, General Park Min-soo was not thinking about surrender. He was surrounded by his staff, looking at the tactical display showing the alien fleet positions. Options? He asked. Colonel Shin Jae-wook spoke first. Sir, we have the orbital platforms and our rapid response fleet. It's not much against 200 ships, but we can make them pay for every inch. What about the secret projects? Asked Major Oh Yoon-ji. Park looked around the room. Everyone here had the highest security clearance, but this was still dangerous territory. Dr. Seo Dong-wook's teams are standing by. Admiral Kim Hana has been moving assets into position for months. If we're going to do this, now is the time. Dr. Kim Tae-ho arrived at the headquarters just as they were discussing their response to the alien ultimatum. He had never seen so many serious faces in one room. What are we going to tell them? He asked. General Park looked at the communication console. The aliens were waiting for Earth's surrender. Every person in the room knew that humanity was outgunned and outnumbered. But something in Park's eyes said he wasn't ready to give up. Open. A channel, Park ordered. The communication officer nodded. Channel open, sir. Park stepped forward. His voice was calm and steady. Unknown alien fleet. This is General Park Min-soo of the United Earth Defense Force. We have received your surrender demand. Our response is simple. We'll see about that. The transmission ended. The room was silent for a moment. Sir, said Colonel Shin, they're going to attack us for that. I know, Park replied. Get everyone to their positions. If they want to fight, we'll give them one they won't forget. On his flagship, Thexvel stared at the communication console in confusion. In 47 conquests, no species had ever responded. Like that. They either surrendered immediately or begged for mercy, but these humans had just challenged him. Sir? Asked Nextar. What are your orders? Thexvel's yellow eyes narrowed. Prepare for a demonstration attack. Find their largest. Civilian target and destroy it. Show them what happens when they defy the Velkhari Empire. But as his fleet moved into attack position, Thexvel didn't know that humanity had been preparing for this day for decades. Hidden weapons, secret fleets, and technologies that the Velkhari couldn't imagine were waiting. The next 48 hours would change everything, but not in the way the alien commander expected. Earth was about to show the galaxy why humans had a reputation for being unpredictable. The countdown had begun. Fleet Commander Thexvel studied the tactical display on his bridge. His yellow eyes focused on what appeared to be a simple mining platform floating near an asteroid. Perfect for a demonstration. Target that mining station, he ordered. 1. Blast should be enough to show these humans what we can do. Nextar looked at the readings. Sir, it appears to be civilian, just a basic mining operation. Exactly. Destroy something they value but can't defend. Then they'll understand our power. The Eternal Dominion turned toward the small platform. Thexvel smiled. This would be over quickly. But on that mining platform, Lieutenant Colonel Yoon Hae-jin was watching the alien ship approach. She sat in the command chair of what the aliens thought was a civilian station. If they had looked closer, they might have noticed the unusual armor plating and the strange energy readings coming from below the surface. "Ma'am, the alien ship is charging weapons," reported Sergeant Kim Bo-ra from the sensor station. "Good," Yoon said calmly. "Let them get closer. We want to make sure this works." The platform looked helpless. It didn't move or try to run. To the Velkhari, this confirmed that it was just a civilian target with no defenses. Thexvel watched his weapons. Officer, prepare to fire. Single blast. Make it clean. The energy beam lanced out from the Velkhari ship, heading straight for the mining platform. But instead of hitting an undefended target, something impossible happened. The platform's surface split open like a flower. Hidden armor plates moved aside, revealing weapon systems that shouldn't exist. Point defense lasers shot out and destroyed the incoming energy beam before it could hit. Then the real surprise began. "Fire everything," Yoon ordered. The first thing that emerged from the platform were kinetic kill vehicles. These were metal rods moving at 15% of light speed. They hit the Velkhari ship before the aliens even knew they had been fired. The Eternal Dominion shook as its shields flared and failed. "Impossible!" Thexvel shouted. "How did they—" His question was cut off as swarm missiles erupted from the platform. But these weren't normal missiles. Each one had its own computer brain that learned from the aliens' defensive moves. When the Velkhari shot down one missile, the others adapted and found new ways to attack. Then came the directed energy weapons, beams of focused energy that cut through Velkhari armor like it was paper. The alien ship's bridge filled with smoke and sparks. "Damage report," Thexvel demanded. "Shields down. Hull breaches on decks 4 through 7. Sir, they're using weapons that violate our understanding of physics." On Earth, Dr. Seo Dong-wook watched the battle from his secret laboratory. He had spent 20 years developing these weapons. The kinetic kill vehicles used exotic matter manipulation to achieve impossible speeds. The swarm missiles had AI systems, more advanced than anything the galaxy had seen. And the energy weapons? They were based on principles that most species thought were just theories. "How are the tests going?" asked Admiral Kim Hana over the secure communication link. "Better than expected," Seo replied. "The aliens' shields weren't designed to handle our unconventional approaches." Kim Hana smiled. She had been moving Earth's secret fleet into position for months. Ships built in hidden facilities throughout the asteroid belt. Ships that the aliens had no idea existed. Back at the battle, more Velkhari ships moved to help. Their flagship. Thexvel couldn't believe what he was seeing. A single human platform was fighting off multiple warships and winning. "Sir, we're receiving reports from across the fleet," Nextar said, his voice shaking. "The humans have more hidden weapons. Platforms we thought were communications arrays are launching attacks. Their orbital defense stations are using weapons we've never seen before." On Aegis Station, Captain Lee So-jin was coordinating the defense. Her platform wasn't just a simple orbital station. It was packed with weapons that Earth had been developing in secret for decades. "Launch the hunter-killer drones," she ordered. From ports hidden all over the station, small ships emerged. They were too small to carry pilots, but each one was controlled by an AI that had been trained to fight using human tactics. Unpredictable tactics that confused the alien ships. The drones didn't attack in formations like the Velkari expected. Instead, they swarmed like angry bees, each one making its own decisions about how to attack. Some would ram enemy ships at high speed. Others would get close and use cutting lasers to slice through hulls. A few even attached themselves to alien ships and started hacking into their computer systems. "This is chaos!" Thexvel shouted as his fleet tried to deal with the drone attacks. "They're not following any military doctrine we know." That was exactly the point. Humanity had studied every alien species they could find information about. They all fought using predictable patterns and rigid command structures, but humans had learned to fight differently. Engineer Choi Jae-min was in his element. From his underground facility, he was coordinating cyber attacks on the alien fleet. Human computer systems were based on quantum principles that the Velkari didn't understand. This let human hackers slip into alien systems like ghosts. "I'm in their navigation computer," he reported to General Park. "They can't tell which way is up anymore." "What about their weapons?" "Working on it. Give me 10 more minutes and half their fleet will be shooting at each other." Lieutenant Colonel Yoon Hye-jin watched as 3 more Velkari ships moved to attack her platform. She wasn't worried. Her platform had one more surprise. "Activate the gravity well generator," she ordered. Space around the platform suddenly became strange. The approaching alien ships found themselves pulled toward the platform by artificial gravity. Their engines couldn't compensate for forces they didn't understand. One Velkari ship was pulled so far off course that it crashed into an asteroid. Another ship's crew passed out when the artificial gravity created acceleration forces their bodies couldn't handle. The third ship managed to escape, but only after dumping most of its fuel. In 6 hours of fighting, 23 Velkari ships had been destroyed or disabled. Earth had lost only 3 platforms, and those were decoys designed to make the aliens think they were winning. On his damaged flagship, Thexvel stared at the tactical display in disbelief. This was not how conquests were supposed to go. His superior fleet was being beaten by a species that wasn't supposed to have advanced technology. "Sir," Nextar said quietly, "maybe we should call for reinforcements." "Reinforcements?" Thexvel's voice was full of rage and confusion. "We brought 200 ships to conquer primitives. How can we need reinforcements?" But as he watched another of his ships explode from weapons that shouldn't exist, Thexvel began to realize that the Velkari Empire had made a terrible mistake. These humans weren't primitives. They were something much more dangerous. Dr. Kim Tae-ho was back at his SETI facility, monitoring alien communications. What he heard made him smile. "General Park," he called, "you need to hear this. The aliens are panicking. They're sending messages back to their empire asking for help. They're saying we're using impossible weapons and chaotic tactics." "Good," Park replied. "Let them panic. We're just getting started." The first 12 hours of the invasion were over. But instead of Earth surrendering, it was the Velkari who were learning what it meant to fight humanity. And this was only the beginning. Fleet Commander Thexvel was no longer the confident alien who had arrived at Earth 24 hours ago. His flagship's bridge was filled with smoke and damaged equipment. His yellow eyes were wide with something he had never felt before. Fear. Status. "Report!" he demanded. 41 ships lost or disabled, sir," Nextar replied, his voice shaking. "The humans are using weapons and tactics we don't understand. Our standard battle procedures are useless against them." Thexvel slammed his fists on the command console. "This is impossible. They're supposed to be primitives." "Sir, incoming message from High Command. The holographic display showed the stern face of Admiral Vexthul, Supreme Commander of the Velkari military. His expression was not pleased. "Thexvel, explain to me how a primitive world is destroying your fleet." "Admiral, these humans are not what our scouts reported. They have technology that violates known physics. Their tactics make no sense. They fight like animals, but with advanced weapons." "Are you telling me that the mighty Third Expeditionary Fleet cannot handle one backward planet?" Thexvel wanted to say yes, but he knew how that would sound. "I am requesting permission to deploy planet-killer weapons, sir. Nothing else seems to work." "Granted. End this embarrassment quickly." The transmission ended. Thexvel turned to his weapons officer. "Prepare the Stellar Devastator. Target their largest city." But Thexvel didn't know that human ships were already moving to intercept him. Ships that had been hiding in the asteroid belt for years, waiting for this moment. Commander Park Sung-min stood on the bridge of the UES Seoul's Pride, a ship that officially didn't exist. Around him, his crew prepared for their first real battle. They had trained for this day, but training was different from reality. "Sir, we have 20 ships in formation," reported Navigation Officer Kim Min-jung. "The aliens don't know we're here." "Good. Let's keep it that way until we're ready to hit them." Park looked at the tactical display. The human fleet was small compared to what the aliens had brought, but these ships were special. They had been built using technology that Earth had been developing in secret for decades. Dr. Seo Dong-wook had called it Project Invisible Storm. Ships that could move faster than anything the aliens had, using engines that bent space itself. Weapons that could punch through any known armor. And most importantly, computers that could think and adapt faster than any organic brain. "Enemy fleet is moving toward Earth," Kim reported. "They're charging what looks like a planet-killer weapon." "All ships, this is Park. Time to introduce ourselves. Attack pattern Delta 7. Make every shot count." The human ship seemed to appear out of nowhere. One moment space was empty. The next moment 20 sleek ships were racing toward the Velkari fleet at impossible speeds. Captain Oh Yun-ji commanded the UES Busan Thunder, the fastest ship in the human fleet. Her job was to get close to the alien flagship and disable their planet-killer weapon before it could fire. "All power to engines," she ordered. "Take us in fast and low." Her ship accelerated to speeds that should have crushed the crew, but human technology had solved that problem too. Inertial dampeners kept everyone safe, while the ship moved like a bullet through space. The Velkari tried to shoot at the approaching human ships, but their weapons couldn't track targets moving so fast. It was like trying to hit a fly with a hammer. "How are they moving so fast?" Thexvel shouted. "Our sensors can barely track them." "Unknown, sir. Their ships are using propulsion systems we've never seen." O's ship reached the Velkari flagship just as the planet-killer weapon was about to fire. She didn't try to destroy the weapon. That would take too long. Instead, she did something typically human. She improvised. "Fire the gravity torpedo directly into their weapon port," she ordered. The torpedo was a human invention that the aliens couldn't understand. It created a tiny black hole that lasted just long enough to tear apart whatever it hit. When it exploded inside the planet-killer weapon, the massive gun tore itself apart from the inside. "Planet killer disabled," O reported over the communication network. "Moving to next target." But the human fleet wasn't just attacking ships. They were also doing something that confused the aliens even more. They were learning. Sergeant Major Lim Bong-soo was leading a boarding party onto a disabled Velkari ship. His mission wasn't to capture the ship. It was to study alien technology and find weaknesses. "This is Lim to Fleet Command," he reported as his team moved through the alien ship. "Their computer systems are incredibly advanced but completely rigid. They can't adapt to unexpected situations." "Copy that, Lim. What about their weapons?" "Powerful but predictable. They're designed to fight other species that follow standard military tactics. They have no idea how to handle our chaos-based combat methods. The aliens fought like they had been trained in military academies. Everything was organized, predictable, and followed strict rules. But humans had learned to fight differently. They used creativity and unpredictability as weapons. Dr. Jang Mi-kyung was demonstrating this from her hidden facility on the moon. She was a computer expert who specialized in breaking into alien systems. While the space battle raged, she was waging a different kind of war. "I'm inside their fleet communication network," she reported to Admiral Kim Hana. "Their security is impressive, but it's based on the assumption that all attackers will follow logical patterns. What can you do? Watch this." Jang started feeding false information into the alien network. She made some ships think they were under attack by their own allies. She changed navigation data so ships would fly into asteroids. She even managed to make their automatic systems play human music throughout their fleet. The psychological effect was devastating. The Velkhari were used to being in complete control. Having their own systems work against them was terrifying. Captain Nam Do-hyun was leading a different kind of mission. His team was using captured alien shuttles to approach Velkhari ships and board them. Their goal wasn't to destroy the ships, it was to capture officers for questioning. "This is Nam. We have 3 alien commanders in custody. They're completely demoralized. They keep asking how we learned to fight this way." "What are you telling them?" asked General Park. "The truth. That this is how humans always fight. We don't follow the rules because we write our own rules." The captured aliens couldn't understand this concept. In their empire, military tactics were fixed and unchanging. Every species fought the same way, using strategies that had been developed thousands of years ago. But humans were different. Colonel Shin Jae-wook was coordinating Earth's propaganda campaign. Human hackers had broken into alien communication networks across the galaxy. They were broadcasting images of the battle to every world in the Velkhari Empire. "Sir, we're getting responses from other species," Shin reported. "The aliens the Velkhari conquered are watching us fight back. Some of them are asking how they can join us." "What kind of responses?" 12 different species have sent secret messages asking for help with their own rebellions. They want to know if humans will teach them our fighting methods. This was something the Velkhari hadn't expected. They ruled through fear, but seeing that fear broken was inspiring their subjects to rebel. Meanwhile, the space battle continued. The human fleet was smaller than the alien fleet, but they were winning through speed, unpredictability, and sheer human stubbornness. Commander Park Sung-min watched as another alien ship surrendered rather than fight. "This is interesting. They're not used to fighting an enemy that doesn't give up." "Sir, incoming report from long-range sensors," Kim said. "More alien ships are approaching. Looks like reinforcements." Park smiled. "Perfect. We were hoping they'd bring more ships into our trap. Because that's what the solar system had become. A trap. For months, Admiral Kim Hana had been positioning hidden ships, weapon platforms, and sensor networks throughout the system. Every asteroid, every moon, every piece of space debris could potentially be hiding human weapons. The Velkhari reinforcements were flying into the most dangerous place in the galaxy, a solar system defended by angry humans who refused to surrender. As the 36th hour of the invasion began, Thexavel stared at his tactical display in disbelief. His mighty fleet was losing to humans. The species his empire had dismissed as primitives were proving to be the most dangerous enemy they had ever faced. And the worst part? The humans were just getting started. Admiral Kim Hana stood in the command center deep beneath Sol, watching as the Velkari reinforcements entered the solar system. Her calm smile would have terrified the aliens if they could see it. "Admiral, enemy reinforcements have arrived," reported Captain Yu Sang-wook. 57 additional ships, including 3 heavy cruisers. "Excellent," Kim replied. "Signal all hidden units. It's time to spring the trap." The Velkari reinforcements thought they were entering a normal star system where their allies were fighting primitive humans. They had no idea they were flying into the most elaborate military trap in galactic history. Fleet Commander Thexavel felt relief when he saw the reinforcements arrive. "Finally, signal them to attack the human orbital platforms. With these additional ships, we can overwhelm their defenses." But Admiral Kim Hana had spent 20 years preparing for this moment. Every asteroid in the belt had been hollowed out and filled with weapons. Every moon had hidden missile launchers. Even pieces of space junk were actually disguised sensor. "Networks, activate Ghost Protocol," Kim ordered. Suddenly, the solar system came alive. What the aliens thought was empty space began revealing weapons everywhere. Asteroids split open to reveal massive railguns. Small moons launched clouds of hunter-killer drones. Even the ice rings around Jupiter started firing missiles. Admiral Cho In-wook commanded the secret human fleet that had been hiding behind Saturn. His ships were the newest and most advanced Earth had ever built. They moved out from behind the gas giant like sharks smelling blood. "All ships, this is Cho. The party starts now. Target their command ships first." The human ships were faster and more maneuverable than anything the Velkari had. But more importantly, they fought in ways that broke every rule of space combat the aliens knew. Captain Lee Jae-sung commanded the UES Incheon Fury. Instead of fighting in neat formations like civilized species, his ship twisted and spun through space like it was dancing. Alien targeting computers couldn't predict where it would be next. "Take us in close," Lee ordered. "Let's show them what human creativity looks like." His ship dove toward a Velkari cruiser, spinning and rolling in patterns. That made no mathematical sense. The alien ship fired everything it had, but every shot missed. Then Lee's ship did something impossible. It fired its main gun while spinning, using the rotation to spread the beam across the enemy's shields like a cutting torch. "Impossible!" shouted the Velkari captain as his shields failed. "How can they fire accurately while moving like that?" The answer was uniquely human. They weren't trying to be accurate. They were using inaccuracy as a weapon, making their attacks unpredictable and impossible to defend against. Dr. Jang Mi-kyung was having the time of her life. From her facility on the moon, she was now inside the computer systems of the entire Velkari fleet. She wasn't just hacking them. She was teaching them to doubt their own technology. "Admiral Kim," she reported, "I've managed to access their quantum communication network. I'm now intercepting messages between their ships and their home empire." "What are they saying?" "They're panicking. The reinforcement fleet is reporting that humans have turned the entire solar system into a weapon. They're asking for permission to retreat. And what's the response from their empire? Confusion. They don't understand how a primitive species could do this." Meanwhile, Captain Nam Do-hyun was leading the most audacious mission of the war. His team had captured several Velkari officers, and now they were using stolen alien shuttles to board the enemy flagship itself. "This is insane," whispered Lieutenant Park Ji-won as their stolen shuttle approached the massive Velkari ship. "We're flying right into their main hangar." "That's why it will work," Nam replied. "They can't imagine anyone being crazy enough to try this." The shuttle landed in the alien hangar without being challenged. The Velkari saw one of their own shuttles returning and assumed it was carrying their own people. They didn't expect humans to walk out wearing stolen alien uniforms. NAMs. Team moved through the ship like ghosts. Human intelligence agencies had been studying captured Velkari technology for years. They knew the layout of these ships better than some of the aliens who lived on them. "Target acquired," Nam whispered into his communicator. "We have eyes on Fleet Commander Thexvel." On the bridge of his flagship, Thexvel was trying to coordinate a defense against an enemy that seemed to be everywhere at once. His yellow eyes were wide with panic as reports flooded in from across his fleet. "Sir, the humans have weapons hidden throughout the asteroid belt. Commander, they're inside our computer networks. Fleet Commander, our reinforcements are requesting permission to retreat. How many ships have we lost?" Thexvel demanded. 87. "Confirmed destroyed, sir. 23 more disabled. The humans are using tactics we've never seen before." That's when Nam's team struck. They appeared on the bridge like magic, using human stealth technology that the aliens couldn't detect. Before the Velkari could react, they had stunned half the bridge crew and were pointing weapons at Thexvel himself. "Fleet Commander," Nam said in perfect Velkari language, "you are now our prisoner." Thexvel stared at the human soldier in shock. "How did you learn our language? How did you get onto my ship?" "We've been studying your people for years," Nam replied. "We knew you would come eventually. We prepared." The capture of Thexvel sent shockwaves through the Velkari fleet. Their supreme commander was in human hands, and they didn't know how to respond. Their rigid military training had never covered this situation, but Admiral Kim Hana wasn't done yet. She had one more surprise for the aliens. "Activate the Sol defense grid," she ordered. Around the entire solar system, hidden installations came online. They had been built in secret over decades, disguised as scientific equipment or mining operations. Now they revealed their true purpose. The Sol Defense Grid was a network of FTL communication jammers that could cut off any ship from hyperspace. No alien vessel could leave the solar system without human permission. "This is Admiral Kim Hana of the United Earth Defense Force," she broadcast to the entire Velkari fleet. "Your fleet commander is our prisoner. Your ships are trapped in our solar system. You have two choices. Surrender immediately, or we will destroy every ship you have." On the remaining Velkari ships, panic spread through the crews. They were trapped in a star system that had become a massive weapon, fighting an enemy that refused to follow any rules they understood. Commander Yexdul, now the highest-ranking Velkari officer still in command, stared at his tactical display. Of the original 257 ships they had brought to conquer Earth, only 68 were still combat-capable. "Sir," his aide whispered, "what are your orders?" Yexadul looked at the display showing human ships surrounding his fleet. These weren't the primitive beings their scouts had reported. These were warriors who had turned their entire solar system into a fortress. "Open a communication channel," he said quietly. "To our remaining ships, sir?" "No. To the humans." Back on Earth, Dr. Kim Tae-ho was monitoring alien communications when he heard something unprecedented, a Velkari commander asking to talk. "General Park," he called excitedly, "they want to negotiate." General Park smiled grimly. "Put them through." The Holographic display showed Commander Yexdul's face. The alien looked defeated and confused. "Human Commander," Yexdul began, We wish to discuss terms." "Terms?" Park replied. "You came here to destroy our world. Now you want to talk?" We didn't understand. Our intelligence was wrong. You are not the primitives we expected." "No," Park said simply. "We're not. The greatest military empire in the galaxy was asking a primitive species for mercy. The balance of power had shifted completely in just 44 hours, but the humans weren't done teaching the galaxy about underestimating Earth. The final phase of their plan was about to begin. General Park Min-Soo looked at the defeated alien commander on the holographic display. Commander Yexdul's yellow eyes showed something that no Velkhari had ever felt before. Complete defeat by a species they had thought was primitive. "You want to discuss terms?" Park asked. "Very well, but first, let me show you something." Park nodded to his communications officer. Across every screen in the Velkhari fleet, images began to play. Images of their mighty empire being humbled by humans in less than 48 hours. Fleet Admiral Kim Woo-jin stood on the bridge of the UES Seoul Rising, watching the alien fleet try to maintain formation while surrounded by human ships. His fleet had taken positions around the aliens like predators circling wounded prey. "Admiral," reported Captain Kwon Hai-young, "all enemy ships are trapped within our defense grid. They cannot escape to hyperspace." "Good. Signal all ships to maintain position but do not fire unless fired upon. Let them think about their situation." On the Velkhari flagship, the captured fleet commander Thexvel was being held in what humans called a comfortable prison. Captain Nam Do-hyun sat across from him, speaking in fluent Velkhari. "Your empire made a mistake," Nam said calmly. "You thought we were weak because we stayed on one planet. You didn't realize we stayed here by choice." Thexvel's 4 arms were secured, but his yellow eyes burned with confusion and anger. "Impossible. No species chooses to limit itself to one world. We didn't limit ourselves," Nam explained. "We prepared ourselves. Every day you spent conquering other worlds, we spent learning how to fight. Every battle you won made you confident. Every year of peace made us stronger." Nam activated a holographic display showing Earth's hidden military installations. Thexvel stared in shock at the vast network of weapons, ships, and defensive systems that humanity had built in secret. "How long?" Thexvel whispered. 25 years, Nam replied. "Ever since we detected your scouts in our system. We knew you would. Come eventually, we got ready." The truth was devastating to the alien commander. The Velkhari had been so confident in their superiority that they never imagined a species might prepare specifically to fight them. Meanwhile, Admiral Kim Hana was receiving reports from across the galaxy. Human agents, disguised as traders and diplomats, had been spreading word of the battle throughout Velkhari space. "Admiral," reported Colonel Shin Jae-wook, "we're receiving surrender requests from 14 different systems. Species that were conquered by the Velkhari are declaring independence. They're asking for our help." What about the Velkhari response? Chaos. Their empire is falling apart. Seeing their invincible fleet defeated has broken the fear that held their empire together. Dr. Jang Mi-kyung was still inside the Velkhari communication networks, watching their empire crumble in real time. "Admiral Kim, you need to see this. I'm intercepting messages from the Velkhari High Command. They're ordering all fleets to return to defend their core worlds." Kim smiled. Perfect timing. Open a channel to Commander Yexdul. The alien commander appeared on screen, looking even more defeated than before. Around him, his bridge crew watched human ships that could destroy them at any moment. "Commander," Kim began, "I'm going to offer you something your empire has never offered anyone else. A choice." "What kind of choice?" Yexdul asked suspiciously. "You can fight us and lose your remaining ships and crews, or you can accept our terms and live." "What are your terms?" Fleet Admiral Kim Woo-jin took over the communication. His voice was firm but not cruel. "First, immediate ceasefire. Second, you will send a message to your empire explaining what happened here. Third, you will carry our terms for peace back to your leaders." "And what are those terms?" "Freedom for all species conquered by your empire. Technology sharing agreements. Mutual defense pacts against other galactic threats. And most importantly, no more invasions of peaceful worlds." Yexdul stared at the human admiral in shock. "You're not demanding our surrender? Our subjugation?" "No," Kim replied simply. "We're offering you partnership. The galaxy is big enough for all of us." This was beyond the alien's understanding. Every species his empire had defeated became slaves or was destroyed. But these humans were offering cooperation instead of conquest. "Why?" Yexdul asked. Dr. Kim Tae-ho answered from his SETI facility. "Because that's what humans do. We turn enemies into friends. We solve problems instead of creating them." On the Velkari bridge, the alien crew looked at each other in confusion. Their entire understanding of how civilizations worked was being challenged. "Sir," Yexdul's aide whispered, "our empire will never accept these terms." "Then your empire will fall," Admiral Kim Hana said, having overheard. "We're not the only species you've angered. Now that they know you can be defeated, how long do you think your empire will last?" She was right. Reports were flooding in from across Velkari space. Rebellions were starting on dozens of worlds. Subject species that had been held down by fear were rising up. The myth of Velkari invincibility was broken forever. Commander Yexdul looked at his tactical display one more time. 68 ships remained from the mightiest fleet his empire had ever assembled. They were surrounded by human vessels, trapped in a star system that had become a fortress, with no hope of escape. I need to consult with my remaining officers," he said. "You have 1 hour," General Park replied. "After that, we assume you've chosen to fight." The communication ended. In the silence that followed, Yexdul turned to his bridge crew. "Opinions?" he asked. "Sir," said his tactical officer, "we cannot win. They have shown mercy so far, but if we fight, they will destroy us completely." "What about our honor?" "What honor is there in leading our crews to pointless death?" asked his aide. "These humans have shown us something our empire never has: the option to live with dignity after defeat." 53 minutes later, Yexdul contacted the human fleet. "Admiral Kim Hana," he said formally, "the remaining ships of the Velkari 3rd Expeditionary Fleet surrender unconditionally. We accept your terms." Across the galaxy, the news spread like wildfire. The mighty Velkari Empire had been defeated by a single world. Species that had lived in fear for generations suddenly had hope. Dr. Seo Dong-wook was in his laboratory, monitoring the aftermath. "Admiral, we're receiving communication requests from 47 different species. They all want to know the same thing. How do we learn to fight like humans?" "What are you telling them?" Kim asked. The truth. That the secret isn't advanced weapons or superior tactics. It's never giving up, always adapting, and turning every disadvantage into a strength. 6 months later, Dr. Kim Tae-ho stood before the Galactic Council, a new organization that had formed after the collapse of the Velkhari Empire. Representatives from hundreds of species listened as he spoke. The galaxy has learned that no species is truly primitive, he said. Every civilization has something unique to offer. The Velkhari made the mistake of thinking that conquest was the only path to greatness. We've proven that cooperation works better. Former Fleet Commander Thex Vel, now serving as a cultural exchange ambassador, nodded in agreement. His time as a human prisoner had taught him more about civilization than his entire military career. The Velkhari Empire still existed, but it was transformed. Instead of conquering worlds, they were learning to live with them. The species they had once enslaved were now partners in a new galactic community, and at the center of it all was Earth, the little blue planet that had refused to surrender and changed the galaxy forever. Admiral Kim Hana looked out at the stars from her office window. Humanity had passed its greatest test. They had shown the galaxy that sometimes the best way to win a war was to turn your enemies into friends. The 48 hours that were supposed to end human civilization had instead begun a new age of galactic peace, and it all started because someone had underestimated what humans could do when they refused to give up. The galaxy would never make that mistake again.